Hello there. Thanks for joining us. It's another Wednesday night, and I'm sure you know I'll be here. I can tell you it's good to be here and bring to you the news that comes with an extra touch. Tonight, we shall start from Lagos, where the president spent the better part of the day commissioning some critical infrastructural projects. Also tonight, we come out strong with stories from the health sector. You know, health is wealth. The National Assembly is back from the Easter break and back to business. Our correspondents will give us updates. There are stories on security, education, the business world, oil and gas, science, and entertainment. I can assure you that before we get to sports and Thursday's weather prospects, you must have gotten news about something of special interest to you. That's why it's News Extra. Stay with us. I am Fatima Abbas Hassan. President Muhammadu Buhari says conscientious development of high-impact infrastructure will continue to be prioritized by the governing All Progressives Congress, APC, as a deliberate attempt towards vastly improving the lives of Nigerians. The president was speaking in Lagos while inaugurating several iconic, people-oriented projects executed by the Akinwumi Ambode administration in various sectors of the economy. State House correspondent Adam Sambo has that report.
This is the second time President Muhammadu Buhari is paying a state visit to Lagos, the center of excellence, in the last 1 year, and perhaps the last under the Ambode administration. 6 other governors were therefore on hand to show solidarity as the Nigerian leader unveils several iconic projects exemplifying the state government's commitment to infrastructural renewal and development. The projects described as necessary impetus for socio-economic growth as well as the progress of Lagos State include the 10-lane Murtala Mohammed International Airport route provided in response to traffic gridlock, security challenges and environmental degradation around the area. Others are the unique transport interchange at Oshodi that transformed the area into a world-class business district, as well as the 820 units high and medium capacity, fully air-conditioned luxury vehicles under the bus reform program of the state government towards addressing the huge transportation challenges in the mega city.
Your governor, Akinwumi Ambode, has performed satisfactorily, and we should all commend him for his contributions to the growth and development of Lagos State. These projects by Lagos State are perfectly aligned with the efforts of the federal government to improve the country's infrastructure, especially in the transport sector. To complement the Oshodi transport interchange, the federal government approved the reconstruction of the Apapa-Oshodi Expressway up to Orinski and Old Toll Gate, which was last attended to 40 years ago.
For Governor Akinwumi Ambode, with the execution of the projects by his administration aimed at making life better for all, the immediate and future prospects of the state is not only brightened, but its prosperity has also been fully secured.
These projects would not have been possible without Mr. President and his quiet but impactful decision to approve and release the payments of the Paris Club refund and the refund on federal road projects incurred by the states. This is our report card. We have used your approval and releases judiciously because we believe strongly in you, in your leadership, and in your vision for our country. This is our modest contribution to the growth and development of our state and to the country in general.
Also inaugurated by the president is the expanded and reconstructed 170-bed, fully digitized Institute of Maternal and Child Health of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. It has 6 surgical theaters, 16-bed emergency care unit, amongst other state-of-the-art facilities aimed at bringing quality, affordable, and modern health care to the people. And in fulfillment of the promise by the Ambode administration to make tourism, hospitality, and entertainment the centerpiece of its development agenda for the youth, Lagos Theatre Oregun, replicated in parts of the state, was also inaugurated by the president. It is to expand arts and performance space as well as promote a thriving creative economy in the state. President Muhammadu Buhari has since returned to Abuja. Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Well, the nation's transport infrastructural base is growing to meet international standard in line with the vision of the federal government. The inauguration of Oshodi transport interchange in Lagos exemplifies the growth in the transport sector. Mohammed Abdul Qadir completes the report.
This is the imposing Oshodi Transport Interchange, the first of its kind in Africa. Within a period of 2 years, a consortium of indigenous experts made history to deliver the project on time. The project has closed-circuit television, state-of-the-art equipment, sky walkways linking 3 terminals and loading bay, in addition to one-stop shop and security installations.
The skywalk is about 45 meter high. It's about 15 stories. We also have, as I mentioned earlier, ITS, Intelligence Transport System, that help you keep track of your movement. So you don't have to wait indefinitely for buses. While you are waiting, you can go and shop.
Lagos State Government initiated the project in 2016 on public-private partnership arrangements. Between projects of Oshodi Transport Interchange and 820 buses could not have come at a better time than now.
We can say Oshodi is now in an international place where everybody can walk both day and night.
This is the first time that I will see this kind of gigantic transport system.
Oshodi Transport Interchange has no doubt redefined the nation's public transport system and turned this area into a world-class central business district comparable with other transport terminals all over the world. In Lagos, Mohammed Abdul Qadir, NTA News.
Thank you, Mohammed. And still from Lagos, we have a report which says that the state governor, Akinwumi Ambode, has assured Nigerians that the 500-seater Lagos Theatre, inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari, will further develop tourism, arts and entertainment in Lagos and Africa at large. Nosa Osula has that report.
Tourism, arts, culture and entertainment are major points of focus for Governor Akinwumi Ambode as his commitment to promoting these sectors stands unwavering. The Eco Theatre is a sterling concept by the Ambode administration to provide a viable platform for youths to harness their creative minds and potentials. 4 new theatres have been completed in Ikeja, Badagry, Alimosho and Ekpe and are set to be inaugurated for public use. Governor Ambode, who accompanied President Muhammadu Buhari for the inauguration of the project alongside governors of Oyo, Ogun, Ondo, Ekiti, Adamawa, Deputy Governor of Edo State, Lagos State Governor-elect and his deputy, explained that his administration has made concerted efforts to fulfill one of his campaign promises to ensure that Lagos becomes the tourism and entertainment hub of Africa.
Because we know that there are no white-collar jobs anymore. They can create jobs for themselves through this place. So I just use this, like we said, we have 4 already, others will be constructed, and also the incoming governor also will continue from where we will stop.
The State's Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Steve Ayorinde, stated that infrastructural development, regeneration of old and creation of iconic attractions for entertainment arts and culture enthusiasts are some of the methods used by the state to boost economic activities, improve domestic tourism, and expand opportunities for job creation.
It's an opportunity for our youth, for rehearsal spaces, for comedy shows, for musicals, for concerts, and for live theatre, which is the primary aim, and of course cinema. So this is what Lagos is all about. Let us increase the art spaces that are available so that our people who are talented youth can have opportunities to practice what they learn.
The theatre is also part of the state government's development plan for the tourism sector, as the facility is expected to attract visitors from within and outside the country. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has unveiled the reconstructed Institute of Maternal and Child Health Facility, popularly known as Ayinke House, located within the premises of Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. Ayinke House, which is adjudged Nigeria's biggest maternity hospital, was upgraded from an 80-bed facility to a 170-bed healthcare center with state-of-the-art medical equipment and information technology. Joy Ken Abakoya has the details.
President Muhammadu Buhari, after inaugurating the project, was conducted round the facility alongside his host and other dignitaries. Maternal and child mortality is one of the major challenges bedeviling the health sector in Nigeria, and the present administration is determined to end it. The reconstruction of the Maternal and Child Health Hospital, Ayinke House in Lagos, is one of the measures being taken by the Lagos State government. The facility, a two-story building with a five-story administrative block, was upgraded from an 80-bed hospital to a 170-bed health facility comprising 5 operation theaters, 16-bed acute care department with 3 organ support capabilities, 30 special care baby units with incubators, laboratories, and a medical gas plant. One of the largest in Africa, Governor Ambode says the new facility will not only improve maternal and child health care but reduce deaths.
As a state, we are aware that universal and basic primary health care is one of the cardinal priorities of your administration. Following this direction, we have consciously worked to bring quality, affordable and modern health care to all our citizens.
Medical students and resident doctors in obstetrics and gynecology can now take advantage of facilities at the new Ayinke House for training.
This facility can do more specialized care that the old one never had. If you go again, the old one had just about 2 theaters. This one has 5 theaters. The old one never had neonatal and cesarean care unit. This one has 30 units of for neonatal care. Those are 2 keys: maternal mortality, neonatal mortality.
I have about 21 consultant obstetricians and gynecologists ready to work. As we speak, this edifice has been renamed the Institute of Maternal and Child Health. That means that work that will be going on in here is not just about service, research and training.
The maternal and child health care facility has begun full operations.
It's an edifice that will ease the tension of our pregnant mothers in Lagos State.
All of us are happy because now those pregnant women, there's place for them to deliver. There is no more looking for somewhere where they will deliver.
For women in Lagos, especially new and expectant mothers, this is worth celebrating because this facility is certainly going to bring them succor. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakoya, NTA News.
As still remaining with the health sector, the announcement of the emergence of a malaria vaccine by the World Health Organization, WHO, that is currently being used to immunize children against malaria in Malawi is another good news from the medical world that has raised the hope of those living in malaria-endemic countries such as Nigeria. Health correspondent Rabi Abdallah in this next report finds out Nigeria's prospects of benefiting from the vaccine.
Research on malaria vaccine is one that has kept scientists on their toes for so many years. This is in view of the high death burden from malaria, as findings indicate that the parasitic disease kills about 435,000 people every year, the majority of them children under 5 in Africa. Not only is Nigeria top on the list of malaria endemic countries, but contributes 25% to the global malaria burden. With the breakthrough that led to development of the malaria vaccine known as Masqueria, which is now in use in Malawi. The question is, where is Nigeria in the picture, considering the fact that it is the country that is worst hit by malaria in the world? More so, when the World Health Organization had made a pronouncement that a similar vaccine program will soon begin in Ghana and Kenya.
This vaccine had been undergoing trial for several years, over 20-something years, and eventually in 2016 there was a policy recommendation, and the recommendation was that they needed to collect further data on the introduction and the feasibility of introduction. And so the recommendation also was that countries, we should pilot the vaccine in a few countries in order to generate local evidence on introduction, on feasibility, and on use. And so this is what this initial phase of introduction is about. Evidence generated from these 3 sites, that's Malawi, Kenya, and Ghana, will be used in scaling up the vaccine to other countries. Nigeria was well considered, but one of the reasons was that these 3 countries, Malawi, Kenya, and Ghana, were the countries where the research took place. So it was only fair that when it was time to reintroduce the vaccine, that those places where the research was done were prioritized.
We cannot scale it at once in all the countries. Nigeria is a very important country, among the high burden country. This has not been thrown out of. It is an option that definitely be considered. But as of now, let's look at the strategy that exists. The government has already deployed. Let's do more, scale up on the response, and then things will be better.
The vaccine is said to only protect about 1/3 of children who are immunized, while those who get the shots are likely to have less severe cases of malaria. In Abuja, Rabi Abdullah, NTA News.
Many thanks, Rabi. Now, what comes to your mind when you hear the word immunization? Prevention? Safety? Vaccination? Well, the Nigerian Health Forum is taking proactive steps to develop a plan to increase the awareness on the gains of immunization, as Linda Ogidi now tells us.
Immunization is not only about vaccine.
With the team, Prevent Epidemics, Immunize, this awareness sensitization workshop is another effort towards promoting immunization and its benefit to the people. For experts at the workshop, reaching the grassroots is key.
Immunization is the first port of call. Every child has a right to health. And what does immunization do? It makes sure that at least basic health comes to pass.
You can have immunization up to the first year of life, but the other diseases are coming, which you need people to be vaccinated.
The government has made some efforts. Well, I think we need to educate them the more. When we say government, we are talking about, government, we have the technical people in government, and that's us.
Consensus here is that all hands must be on deck with combined efforts of all communities, private sector, government, and individuals needed to free the nation from every epidemic. In Abuja, Linda Ogidi, NTA News.
Military cautions against undue publicity to criminals. Why, you may ask? We'll find out when we return after the break. This is still NTA News Extra, reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. Now, the military has cautioned the media to desist from glorifying criminal activities through undue publicity that undermines government's efforts and induces fear in the society. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, gave the caution at the combined Chief of Army Staff First Quarter Conference and the Combat Arms Training Week in Jaji, Kaduna State. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa was there and our reports.
There is a popular adage that says, "He who fails to plan to fail." Having this in mind, these field commanders and principal officers are assembled at this platform periodically to review their general activities and plan for more effective operations in view of emerging internal security threats across the country. Addressing these threats effectively requires collective responsibility.
Undue publicity and praise singing of the bandits and other criminal elements will only motivate them to commit more criminal acts at the detriment of the society. Therefore, the press, the general public, security analysts, and public commentators are advised to show more maturity and due diligence in this collective effort of ridding the country of criminals.
The Army Chief says President Muhammadu Buhari's intervention will enhance rapid procurement of the needed platform.
Mr. President has intervened promptly by authorizing concerted efforts through a government-to-government procurement policy to obtain critical platforms needed for our operations. This package, which is almost due for delivery, will also come with the technical training, content, and maintenance support. Headquarters, Nigerian Army School of Infantry. So, help us go.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has inaugurated the new headquarters School of Infantry in Jaji, Kaduna State. The project that was completed in 10 months.
The Senate has advised the federal government to urgently ensure the deployment of enough security presence along the border communities of Benue and Taraba. The motion, moved by Deputy Minority Leader Emmanuel Bwacha, drew the attention of senators to the lingering crisis involving youths of the communities. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo has the details.
Senators reconvening for plenary after the break, apparently the last Easter break by the 8th Senate. The motion on communal crisis involving border communities in Benue and Taraba states was the first urgent matter considered by the returning senators.
And it is very
Deputy Minority Leader Emmanuel Bwacha from Taraba State and 2 others moved the motion.
The sad event preceding the Easter break, like I said, is a sad one indeed because over 30 lives were lost.
What started as a little problem between the villages of Kente and Vase in Taraba and Benue State now blossomed into a complete fight.
It is sad, but we need to work hard to bring peace once again to these 2 communities that have been living side by side in peace.
That the police authority should hasten the completion of mobile barracks in the border towns of Akwana, Island, and Taraba and Benue respectively. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. As and to observe immediate silence for those killed in the sad event.
Boundary issues continued on the floor as the legislators adopted a motion by Senator Isaac Alfa from Kogi State, recommending, among other issues, that the governors of Anambra, Enugu, and Kogi states should resolve the crisis between the communities, while the federal government should direct the National Boundary Commission to release its report on the boundaries of communities contiguous to OPLs 915 and 916.
Urge the communities of Ibaji, Tiga, and Aguleri Otu of Kogi, Enugu, and Anambra states to sheathe their sword and allow peace to reign.
The Federal Capital Territory Health Insurance Agency and the FCT Primary Health Care Board establishment bills, sponsored by Senator Philip Aduda, have been passed.
A step that will lead the Federal Capital Territory residents towards global health targets for universal health coverage. That the bill will bring into harmony fragmented health agencies in FCT into one effective administrative framework.
I'd like to congratulate Senator Aduda, then the committee members, and this is one of our responsibilities as the House of Assembly of the FCT.
Senate has confirmed the appointment of Omolola Edewo as Executive Director, Corporate Services of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation. Senate received requests from the President on the confirmation of 2 members of the Nigerian Bar Association into the Federal Judicial Service Commission. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTN News.
The Nigerian government is set to record a daily loss of $8 million due to non-review of the oil production sharing contract between the country and international oil companies. The House of Representatives is set to correct the situation with a passage for second reading of a bill for an act to amend the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contract Act. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has more.
Debate on the bill seeking to review the act, which has been effective since 2004, elicited deep concern on the part of lawmakers as they wondered why this trend was allowed to continue, leading to huge revenue loss of more than 27 billion naira by Nigeria.
It is about the production sharing contract between NNPC and IOCs.
The one that we are discussing this morning is about the deep shore one, that the initial investment is always very heavy. We are not careful about the law we are going to make on this particular one. It could be cast in a manner that they begin to use some other international laws in terms of the nautical miles that you have access to, and you be pushed out of the sharing formula.
We do not know how much we get from the act. We do not know how much we are seeking to get from the amendment.
We need to put sanity in terms of the physicals in the industry before we now deliver the ultimate legislation that will guide the sector.
The House therefore decided to set up an ad hoc committee to carry out an investigation on the matter, mandating it to report its findings within 1 week for further legislative action. Wednesday's plenary also passed for second reading a bill for an act to establish Federal Polytechnic Gwaram Jigawa State, sponsored by Representative Yuguda Hassan Kila.
Encourage and promote scholarship and conduct research in all fields of learning with emphasis on technical education.
The bill was referred to House Committee on Tertiary Education. Meanwhile, the lawmakers have urged relevant authorities to rehabilitate Ebute-Ogolonto Road in order to address indiscriminate parking of trailers in Lagos. A motion tabled during plenary urging the House to request for a change of name for Apple legislative quarters failed to gain support of the lawmakers due to the fact that some of them are occupants of the apartments. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now, by June this year, the 9th National Assembly will be inaugurated. Campaigns are on in earnest for the leadership of the Assembly. But how has the 8th Assembly performed? What were the unique things that stood out during that time? And what lessons for the incoming Assembly? It's over now to Talatu Ezirike.
It is said that the beauty of democracy lies largely in good governance by the 3 arms of government. The legislature, an arm of the government charged with making laws, is seen to be living up to its responsibilities, especially in the last 4 years. To the credit of the 8th National Assembly, many say include the passage of the National Minimum Wage, the Not Too Young to Run Law, the National Identity Management Commission Act, and the Companies Allied Matters Act. In the words of the Senate President Bukola Saraki, the Assembly has been able to introduce landmark legislations that have helped boost the nation's economy.
Those against say nay, the ayes have it.
But how harmonious has the relationship between the legislature and the executive been?
We've come to a situation where the legislature is now almost losing the public applause. But again, I want to say that the legislature should never contest for popularity contest with the executive. It will never win.
Nigerians are becoming more aware
If they thank you, you fail to do what they call feedback mechanism, go back to your constituency, tell your people this is what is happening, or why are you quarreling with Mr. President, why are you not talking on our behalf? I swear to God, you not go back to your constituency, and people will not elect you.
What lessons for the 9th National Assembly to advance good governance?
It is important that legislators, they focus on their legislative work. If they focus on the work that they are constitutionally assigned to do, I think we would, they will not have too much distraction.
But the perception out there is that the legislators are not making any difference. They're just people who get into power and luxuriate at the expense of the people that voted them there in the first instance. The next legislation should begin to work on.
Analysts strongly believe that Nigeria stands to gain more through rights energy that will translate to growth. Talatu Ezebike, NTA News.
Many thanks, Talatu. Now, the Court of Appeal, Abuja, has commenced hearing in the appeal filed by the Osun State Governor, Boyega Oyetola, against Ademola Adeleke's victory at the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal. Olabode Arewa reports that the appellants are challenging the verdict of the tribunal, which voided his electoral victory.
The incumbent governor of Osun State, Boyega Oyetola, and his party, the All Progressives Congress, filed separate appeals, saying that the tribunal erred when it cited the alteration of the results sheets of the election by INEC electoral officers as a major reason for declaring Ademola Adeleke as the winner of the election, citing Section 138 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. Wale Oladipekun, Akin Olujimi, and Yusuf Ali, senior advocate of Nigeria, said the fact that alteration of the result sheets from ECATA were not part of Adeleke's arguments at the tribunal. Adeleke's counsel, Onyechi Ikweazu, SAN, said overvoting, non-recording of voters' accreditation, and alteration of the results after the election had taken place validated the tribunal's view. The 5-man panel, led by Justice Juma Sanki, deferred ruling on the preliminary objections of the parties to the petition. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the next 4 years of the Buhari administration will witness greater infrastructural development in the country and expansion of the social investment programs to reach more Nigerians. Speaking on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria, the minister noted that Nigerians have asked for a better deal by re-electing President Muhammadu Buhari for a second term. Alika Opanachi has that report.
The Information and Culture Minister stressed that the peaceful conduct of the 2019 general elections resonates positively among Nigerians' global friends and allies. Hence, his recent visits to the United Kingdom and the United States of America to gain more support for the administration and attract more investors to Nigeria.
We owe it a duty to our people and to our country to ensure that the outside world, and even the local, even the domestic committee, it gets the right narrative and the right, picture.
He outlined some of the second-term plans of the administration in moving Nigeria forward, especially in the areas of infrastructural development, power generation, and job creation.
If funds meant to build roads, meant to provide power, meant to provide jobs, are shared among just a few people, then there will be no development. I remember as soon as I came in, we used a statement that between 2006 and 2013, just about 54 people or 55 people allegedly stole 1.4 trillion naira. That's 50% of what we spent on infrastructure in 2017. So you can see the correlation between that development and corruption. And that is why we believe that the next 4 years will only be an improvement on the last 4 years.
On the war against corruption, the minister was emphatic that the present administration deserves credit over its achievements so far and hoped the international community will continue to join Nigeria in prosecuting the fight against terrorism. In Abuja, Alika Opanachi, Arwa, NTA News.
Next, correspondent examines the role of African trade policy and ECOWAS regional trade policy. That's the outlook when we return. Stay with us. You're welcome back. The dynamic and constant change in nature of the business world is definitely playing out on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, as stocks are responding to news of plans to acquire full ownership of growing global businesses. Amina Nujem is here in the studio with the details. Now let us in on the good news, Amina.
A little patience. You'll get to know about it.
All right then.
We begin business news today with the latest closing numbers from the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Investors lost 66.78 billion naira, while the NSE OSHA index ended Wednesday on a negative note. It depreciated by 0.58% to close below 30,000 basis points. This is against a 0.03% depreciation recorded on Tuesday, with its year-to-date returns at -4.87% and market capitalization 11.236 trillion naira. At the end of trading on Wednesday, 304 million shares corresponding to a market value of 2.630 billion naira exchanged hands among investors in 3,902 deals, while market capitalization dropped to 11.236 trillion naira. Japul Oil continues to record the highest volume with 92 million traded shares, followed by Access Bank and UBA with 2 million. Interesting developments as Dangote Flour led 26 gainers. This very well related to the development of global food and business leaders Olam's intentions to acquire full ownership of Dangote Flour Mill. In other news, in support of policy trust of the federal government aimed at promoting the campaign on Think Nigeria, Buy Made in Nigeria products, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment has met with partners to fine-tune the draft National Industrial Lubricant Policy. This is to encourage local manufacturing while further enhancing Nigeria's industrial potential.
Are sitting down together to look at the draft of what the government can do to continue to assist, either through the ease of doing business as well as getting very clean and genuine products by using the standard that is being used all over internationally.
We cannot continue to depend on imported components or products. Nigeria, a nation of close to 200 million, must industrialize, must be engaged in the development and production of products and services that we need.
It is no longer news that oil prices Tuesday peaked for the year as U.S.-backed sanctions on Iran takes off. Also, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, has expressed confidence that importation of refined crude products will reduce on the continent when the Dangote refinery becomes fully operational. Olabode Showemi, an energy analyst, spoke on the dynamics of the global market and opportunities for Nigeria on NTA Business Express.
What we are looking at in terms of our relationship with those OPEC nations is to advance the relationship between just suppliers of crude oil to relationships in other areas where we will be of mutual benefit to each other.
And that is it from the business desk. Fatima, it's back to you.
Thank you so much, Amina. Moving on, how does it sound when a dominant continental organization seeks collaboration with a sub-regional organization with a well-structured trade policies? The corollary is therefore expected to be a better economic environment. Kule Adeyeye will tell us what transpired at a workshop on Africa trade policies and ECOWAS Regional Trade Policy Dialogue Forum in Abuja.
With Africa becoming the choice of investors for about a decade, the African Union has come up with policies like boosting intra-African trade, an action plan adopted by African heads of states and governments at one of their summits, and Agenda 2063, tagged The Africa We Want. This dialogue forum is part of the efforts to consolidate on successes and strengthen identified weaknesses. The AU is of the view that such a forum has become imperative now that a lot of changes and developments are being witnessed in Africa's trade arena and the ECOWAS sub-region.
Trade policies and agreements do not operate in a vacuum, but rather they are connected to several other trade and trade-related policies and strategies, such as transport, immigration, customs, health.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, expressed willingness to partner the African Union and engage in peer review mechanism, which is already a success at the continental level, and maintain policies like ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme and infrastructural development, which have eased trade among ECOWAS members.
We also have a draft ECOWAS Common Trade Policy, which is currently undergoing national consultations in the member states, in line with the requests of our ECOWAS Ministers of Trade, going to a decade ago.
Right from the beginning of African Continental Free Trade, even up to now, Nigeria has been very much involved from the beginning to the end.
The 4-day capacity building, which also factored in multi-stakeholder approach, is the second in the series after that of 2018. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
The negative impact of oil spills on the marine environment and its effect on the livelihood in coastal communities can better be imagined. For how long will this continue? Goes a regular question on their lips. But not to worry, as the Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, and the National Spills Detection and Response Agency, NOSDA, are tackling this issue head-on. Oyinaya Kaluoka witnessed the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the two agencies to that effect in Abuja.
Poor crops harvest, aquatic destruction, and impact on human health are some of the diverse effects of oil spillage in affected communities. According to Petroleum Resource Annual Reports, more than 60,000 spills have occurred in Nigeria during her 40 years of oil exploration. Proactive and well-calculated response to marine spill, experts say, is very complex and requires a well-coordinated efforts. With the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency and the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, response to marine oil pollution incidents in Nigeria will be efficient and effective.
This MOU is a commitment made by the two agencies and should not stop on this signing ceremony, but should continue to guide and guard our actions at even targeting zero oil spill in the country and region at large.
So there's a need to put a better attention to this spill issue and see how we'll be proactive and make sure that whenever any one happens, we are able to rise to the occasion and make sure that we bring it under control within a very reasonable time.
With this MOU, both parties say they are prepared and equipped in oil spill management in the country. Oyinaya Kaloka, NTA News.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Dr. Mekan Tibaru, says the negative economic impact of petroleum product smuggling is undermining Nigeria's economic growth as huge amounts of money is spent on under-recovery. The GMD stated this at a meeting with the Nigeria Customs Service and the Department of Petroleum Resources in Abuja. Worried by the growing incidence of petroleum products smuggling across the nation's borders, the parties agreed to inaugurate a joint committee to tackle the menace.
Over 1 trillion naira is just going on this process. You could use it for a lot of things. We are talking of railway, we are talking of power supply, we are talking of roads, we are talking of schools.
The GMD called on the Nigerian Customs Service to intensify surveillance along the identified border communities. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Emmanuel Ibekachiku, has met with Top executives of the national oil company of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Saudi Aramco, in Dhahran. The meeting is to solidify ongoing discussions on collaborating with the federal government of Nigeria on investments in the oil and gas sectors. Lydia Sampson reports that the meeting comes on the heels of the strategic value meeting held with the Minister of Energy, Industry and Mineral Resources of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Khalid El Faleh, to cement the budding interest to support Nigeria's infrastructure development in the oil sector. Kachiku, who was received by the President and Chief Executive Officer of Saudi Aramco, Amin Nasser, and the top management of the conglomerate, highlighted the areas of shared investment interests for Saudi Arabia and Nigeria, while explicitly presenting the existing gaps in the midstream and downstream sectors as viable investment options. The Chief Executive Officer of Saudi Aramco, Amin Nasser, reiterated the resolve of the conglomerate to widen investment in Nigeria and share best practices, while showcasing the high-level technological feats of the company. He says the company in the next 5 years intends to focus on investment in Africa, and Nigeria, as biggest country in Africa, will not be left behind on a guided tour of the Saudi Aramco facility. Kachuku commended the high-level technological advancement of the national oil company. He also lauded the various showcased technologies. The exploratory partnership visit ended with a firm acceptance by Saudi Aramco to quicken final conversations with Nigerian firms across the entire oil and gas value chain for mutually beneficial gains. Now, one of the essential infrastructure that attracts speedy development is good road network, which tends to ease the challenges of road transportation. This is one sector the Ondo State government is giving priority to through rehabilitation and expansion of many arterial roads in the state. Olajide Bello takes a look at the impact of this effort of government.
Mr. Ashiru Adidayo, 61, is an indigene of Ikare, about 2 hours' drive from Akure, the Ondo State capital. Having been born here, Adidayo knows the town and its landmarks almost too well. But nothing demoralizes the people here more than the poor state of roads in the area.
The other horrible aspect is that descending the hill, where we have the Obas market, where we have crowded people crossing the road at intervals. At that time, most of the vehicles can lose control and run into people. We had loss of lives during these horrible situations. So we thank God, we thank the present government that are taking this type of initiative to save our community from loss of life and properties.
The situation has now changed as the state government has rehabilitated the 38.9 kilometer Owo Ikare Akoko road.
This is Ogala Bojito in Ikare. It is phase 1 out of the 2 phases undergoing improvement, ingredient and dualization. Before, this particular spot used to be a den for accidents due to the steep nature of the hills.
My husband cannot allow me there to come with my baby there, but now he really allow me to come to garage to come and say, because then the road was very bad and every day we have an accident here.
The state government says the road construction efforts is targeted at every part of the state, as many roads across the state are either being rehabilitated or witnessing expansion.
85% of the local governments in the state are benefited. We have like only 3 or 4 that are yet to benefit the way we want. There's no local government that are not benefited from road construction in this state. because local government is doing road, we are supervising together, and the state government is doing directly, and we even use the federal government to come, and their presence has started. People have started feeling their presence now.
Some of these roads are already completed, and work progresses steadily on many others. From Akure, Olajude, Bello, NTA News.
The Kano State government is adopting more aggressive and comprehensive agricultural policies to boost food production and commercial agriculture in the forthcoming rainy season. Shehu Adamu reports that the state government is also attracting facilities from the Islamic Bank, Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia, to assist farmer groups with loans to boost their production.
Kano State, being one of the most populous in the country, is endowed with fertile land and irrigation infrastructures for all-season farming practice. To evolve a comprehensive policy toward developing the agricultural sector in Kano, the state government is sustaining its fertilizer subsidy and other farm inputs to improve upon the successes recorded.
Technology is very, very important and key. And that was why the Kano State Agricultural Development Authority was also revamped by His Excellency Dr. Abdullahi Umar Kanduje.
With the highest number of rice mills in the country, the present administration in Kano remains committed to engaging more youth into agriculture to complementing the federal government efforts towards self-reliance. The deputy governor said the state government would, as a matter of policy, accord priority to cotton and groundnut farming this cropping season. This is in addition to rice and wheat farming. He therefore appealed to farmers to form functional farmer groups to benefit from the state and the federal agricultural assistance. In Kano, Shehu Adamu, NTA News.
Nigeria moves to sustain space science trajectory. Inaugurates requisite infrastructure. We're glad to have you back with us on NTA News Extra. Now, Nigeria joined the League of Satellite Nations in 2003 when her first remote sensing satellite was launched in Russia. This development triggered tremendous growth in space science and technology, which culminated in the launch of more satellites and increased human capacity building and effective deployment of space technology in nation building. Science correspondent Kirian Omayo reports that the inauguration of requisite infrastructure for the sustenance of space science advancement trajectory is a booster to the nation's space exploration as a leading space giant in Africa.
It was indeed a moment of accomplishment for the Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Bonea Ono, who inaugurated 6 space science-related projects, namely National Space Museum, which houses relics of space technology and other historic innovation and designs, Space Environment Research Laboratory with all-sky optical imager, the only such equipment in Africa, plus Fabriparot and interferometer and magnetometer facilities. Also inaugurated a Space Technology Incubation Center with electrical and mechanical equipment, planetarium building, the first in Africa, and Institutes of Space Science and Engineering, which is affiliated with the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja. With this development, Dr. Ono, who is visibly elated, says the nation's space center is now well fortified to maintain its lead in satellite exploration in Africa.
The Space Museum is so important to us as a nation. The planetarium is also very important because look at the average age of all of us here. In the next 20 years, I don't think many of us will be around to do space research and developmental work. So we have to look up to the very young people. We have to prepare our children because Nigeria is a nation that has a very bright future.
For the Director General of NASDA, Professor Seidu Mohammed, the success recorded by the agency under the current administration points to the fact that space science development in Nigeria has come of age and can stand the test of time in satellite design and configuration.
The successful completion of these various projects are not only heartwarming, but attestation to our collective efforts and resolve to continue to consolidate on the noble achievements of the agency for the overall benefit of our nation.
I want to assure you, President Muhammadu Buhari is committed to developing this agency and making it the best in Black Africa.
Nigeria currently has 3 functional satellites in the orbit, and with the acquisition of this strategic space infrastructure by NASDA, the agency is now in a vantage position to carry out more integrated data-driven space technology architecture for efficient space exploration and research in Africa. Kirian Umayo, NTA News.
Thank you, Kirian. Now, one wonders why, despite the number of universities in Nigeria, nothing definite in terms of research seems to be seen, a development that is impacting negatively on the country in many ways. Well, the National Universities Commission, NUC, which regulates the institutions, has come down hard on the universities, urging them to buckle up and make the country feel the impact of their research findings. This was the position of the Executive Secretary, Professor Abubakar, at a meeting with directors of research and innovation of Nigerian universities. Abdullahi Musa Suleja was there.
Advanced societies leverage on research and tap from them to provide solutions to problems or challenges. This is what the National Universities Commission is promoting to support Nigerians' quest for development. But first, the right research needs to be done. And this session is aimed at reviving culture of rigorous and relevant research so as to ameliorate the situation of poor research governance and inadequate institutional mechanism for the learning of management of research activities in Nigerian universities. The Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, Professor Abubakar Rashid, pointed out that Nigeria must be in the lead in terms of creating an innovation system for the country by collaborating with knowledge-creating centers, and that universities should stop thinking that they have the monopoly of knowledge.
We feel that in many universities, the culture of research is almost zero. Nigeria must begin the process of consciously turning some of our universities into research-intensive universities.
Executive Secretary, Tertiary Education Fund Professor Suleiman Bogoro shares similar sentiment with Professor Rashid as he expressed dismay over the inability of many Nigerian professors to access global grant for impactful research.
This is the challenge to all of us. For too long in our university system, we've dwelled more on teaching, not research.
The interactive session is tagged Bolstering Research Impact and Relevance Through Systematic Research Governance in Nigerian Universities. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
Arrangements are in top gear as Ogun State government is set for the successful hosting of the 4th edition of the African Drums Festival. Lekon Agbonde visited the amphitheater at the city center venue of this year's annual event.
Governor Ibikunle Amosun displaying drumming skills as he set to declare open the 2019 Drum Festival. I am standing inside the 10,000 capacity amphitheater being prepared to host about 30 state troops from across Nigeria, another 30 international troops from Africa and beyond, as well as 78 private troops from across the world in the 4th edition of the African Drum Festival. For days, the organizing committee, led by the Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Yetunde Onanuga, has coordinated artisans and technical experts in decoration to dot the I's and cross the T's to make the venue ready for the 2019 African Drum Festival. The intensity of activities have been on the rise as workers are busy working to give the newly constructed amphitheater a facelift towards ensuring a successful and enlarged version of the annual festival.
Right now, our troops have started arriving and we have put them in the hotels that they are to accommodate them. And then for us here, we are ready for them. We have done all that are necessary, only that we just want to clear up what we're doing here. It's going to be a wow, because everybody, we are ready, we are set to host thousands of people.
We have different things. We have the train ride on Saturday. We have the unveiling of the Adiresio, which will be taking place tomorrow. Then, of course, there is the academics as well, the roundtable conference.
Sound and lighting experts have also been working to perfect these aspects, which are key. The African Drum Festival, a project of Ogun State government, has continued to draw the attention of the global community as participants and audience have the opportunity of relishing the beauty of Nigeria's culture and tourism through the drums. In Abeokuta, Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
Well, there's no doubt that Nigeria is known for its vibrant entertainment industry, rich cultural heritage, and its historical sites, which, if properly harnessed, could serve as a catalyst for job creation and social integration. To ensure that the grassroots benefit from these vast fortunes, the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture has explored the artistic potentials of youths in Atigidi, Agbi, local government area of Cross River State, through a talent hunt aimed at improving their socio-economic well-being. Justina Etim has that report.
The talent hunt is aimed at equipping youths of the community with a means of livelihood that will stimulate wealth creation and promote peaceful coexistence amongst youths of the area and beyond.
This grand event is also in line with the economic diversification of policy of the present administration.
As it is expected of a talent show, contestants reeled out their best in music and comedy, entertaining the crowd. Isaac McRock emerged winner with Gift Gekwe as the first runner-up and Elemi Matthew as the second runner-up. The winner carted away the sum of 300,000 and other gift items, while others were also rewarded.
For the Ministry of Information and also our mother organizing this is a great one for this community, and I really appreciate it.
Apart from the wealth of talent embedded in the youth, the Itigidi community is also endowed with rich cultural heritage and historical sites, which guests visited during the fiesta. The 2019 Entertainment Fiesta is on the theme engaging youth through entertainment for a greater tomorrow. From Itigidi, Abi local government area of Cross River State, Justina Etam, NTA News.
Now, research has it that Nigeria's first contact with cinema was in 1903 at the instance of Herbert Macaulay, and since then, till 2016, Nigeria can only boast of 38 cinemas. But with the special efforts of the present administration, Nigeria has made it to the 200 mark. Things are still looking better, as Nigeria and France have agreed to showcase and exchange movies to further boost income generation. At Debola Brooksland Sunday witnessed the signing of an agreement to that effect.
The movie industry is rated one of the top income generation sectors in Nigeria. And due to the large content it produces, France sees it as a veritable partner. This led to the collaboration that will present a platform for the benefit of investors, producers, distributors, and other key players in the motion pictures industry. Director of the Institute of Franchise, Ahmad Dunion, and the Executive Director, National Films and Video Censors Board, Adedayo Thomas, believe that the process will be a springboard towards taking the industry to the next level, especially with the political will of the Buhari administration.
I can't even put a percentage to it of the growth we have witnessed within the last 2 years, based on one thing: policy of ease of doing business and opening up the market for the film industry. Stakeholders smile to the bank from their box office of 300 and something million, 400 and something million, 500 million. Netflix is there, DSTV is buying our things. Several other networks are interested in us. Production is going on in and out. So it's a real big thing for the country.
And we appreciate that very much. And that's a good time for us to develop the cooperation between the French movie industry and Nigerian movie industry. I say industry because it's a very important economic sector, but what is also very important is cooperation that is a cultural cooperation, which will help to have better cooperation, better understanding, not only between authorities but also between people.
The process is to be executed through the Nigeria-French Film Distribution Conference, scheduled to hold later this year. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Well, more often than not, Nigerians in the diaspora appear to be in the news for negative than positive reasons. But have you ever taken time off to find out the stories of many Nigerians that are breaking and setting records around the world, who get little or no mention? Our foreign desk correspondent, Makut Simon Macham, takes up the story from here.
Bad news is good news is a common saying in journalism, which simply means that media audiences appear to get attracted to issues that are controversial, unusual, and sometimes bizarre. This assumption has unfortunately characterized the news about Nigerians in the diaspora, whose number is estimated to run into millions. It is therefore not unlikely to read in the social media or the mainstream media about some Nigerians in various parts of the world involved in drugs, prostitution, fraud, or other crimes. Whether true or not, these few cases seem to dominate discourse, leaving out the majority of professionals and others who are carrying out legitimate businesses and making great impact in their host communities.
Nigerians here are making all of us proud, especially here in New Jersey. New Jersey is considered the bedrock of Nigerian politics in the diaspora, and we have data to show for it.
No one hears about the good things that we do as Nigerians here, but only the bad things make it to the headlines. We need to start changing that narrative.
Apart from Nigerians heading or holding senior positions in international organizations such as the United Nations, OPEC, International Criminal Court, African Development Bank, the World Bank, among others, there are many others who are making waves in their chosen fields globally.
Nigerians and non-Nigerians know that there are lots of Nigerians doing great things all around the world in all the fields, and everybody talks about this, and and that's what's sometimes so that makes people get so exasperated about where we are as a country.
In the last few weeks alone, a number of Nigerians in the diaspora have broken records. Stella Chinelo Imelefe, for instance, broke a 100-year record of an Indian university, winning 20 gold medals at graduation, while Damilola Adeke in the United States got admissions into a record 20 Ivy League schools, including Yale, which she finally settled for. In New Zealand, Israel Adesanya won the UFC middleweight boxing championship, while another Nigerian, Casey Madu, got elected into parliament in Alberta, Canada. The list goes on and on. With the establishment of the Diaspora Commission, expectations are that the stories about Nigerians who are doing positive things will be pushed out more than ever before. The saying goes that image is everything, but image is largely driven by perception, which may or may not be true.
Everything is about perception and packaging. Some of these countries that we go to and celebrate, they have their issues to crime, criminality, but what are they pushing out about themselves? So the stories of Nigerians excelling, we need to push them out to the world and also, bring them also closer home. So what we're saying is that wherever you are in the world, you can work with your country. Work together. Let's build a great Nigeria. So that is important, and we appeal to the media to join us in celebrating the goodness in ourselves. And as I've always said, we should not accept any stereotype.
In Abuja, Makut Simon Macham, NTA News.
This is NTA News Extra. Sports update is up next after the break. Join us again. You're welcome back. And for a bit on sports now, Nigeria's Golden Eaglets to fight for third place in